They thought the sea had claimed him forever, but the ocean was not finished testing him yet. Exhausted from battling the unforgiving waves, Pedro Serrano collapsed onto the shore, his body trembling, his lungs burning, every muscle heavy with pain. The relief of survival pulsed through his chest as he lay on the sand, staring at the sky, listening to the roar of the relentless sea behind him. The wreckage of his ship had already vanished beneath the waves, erased without mercy, leaving no trace that men had ever sailed here at all. Serrano forced himself upright and scanned the horizon, expecting at any moment to see another survivor crawl from the water, to hear a voice call his name, to see proof that he was not alone. But as the sun sank into the ocean and darkness swallowed the island, no one came and the sea had spared only him. When dawn arrived, it brought clarity and dread in equal measure as Serrano explored the land that had become both his prison and his refuge. The island was larger than he first imagined, so vast that crossing it on foot took hours, yet it offered nothing in return, only a barren wasteland, a cruel stretch of sand beneath a merciless sun. There were no trees, no shade, no rivers or ponds, no birds, no signs of life beyond crawling insects and distant waves. It was not an island meant to be lived on but a sandy desert floating alone in the Caribbean, and as this realization settled into his bones, despair crept in. It was the 1520s, an age when Spanish galleons crossed these waters, yet the ocean was endless and this island was a speck so small it could be passed 100 times without notice, making rescue feel impossibly distant. Still, Serrano pushed the fear aside, knowing panic would kill him faster than hunger, and survival became his only purpose. Food and water consumed his thoughts as he searched endlessly until he found small mollusks and insects clinging to life in the sand. With no fire, he ate them raw, forcing them down despite the taste, each bite nothing more than fuel. Hours later his luck shifted when massive turtles emerged from the sea, ancient and slow, dragging themselves onto the beach. Serrano acted without hesitation, running toward them and flipping them onto their backs as their legs flailed helplessly. Using the knife he always carried, he pierced their flesh and drank their blood with desperate urgency, then carved chunks of meat and laid them beneath the scorching sun to dry. The heavy, curved shells sparked an idea, and he arranged them carefully, turning them into vessels to collect rainwater. For the first time since the shipwreck, survival felt possible. Days turned into weeks as Serrano adapted, crafting tools from turtle bones, shaping hooks for fishing, scraping every last bit of meat from carcasses he refused to waste, and learning how to position the shells to capture the maximum amount of rain during rare storms. Slowly and methodically he built a system, and after several weeks he had stored dried meat and water, yet one thing remained beyond his reach: fire. Driftwood washed ashore regularly, but without flame it was useless. Back in Spain, fire came from steel and stone, from tools civilization made abundant, but here the island offered nothing, no rocks, no sparks, making fire seem like a luxury lost to another lifetime. Still, Serrano refused to surrender. He believed the sea had taken everything from him, so the sea would give something back. Day after day he swam beyond the shallows, diving into the depths and searching the ocean floor, each dive burning his lungs and pushing his body closer to collapse until persistence finally saved him. Beneath the shifting sand he found stones, not many but enough, and one by one he carried them back, muscles screaming with effort. He struck stone against stone, shaping sharp edges, tore his shirt into strips, held them against his knife, and struck again and again until sparks leapt forward. When flame finally caught, Serrano cried out in triumph, feeding the fire driftwood and guarding it obsessively, for fire meant cooked food, warmth, protection, and hope. Using turtle shells he built a crude shelter, a roof against rain and sun, and now all he could do was wait. Ships came and went as he saw sails on the horizon, raised smoke signals, and shouted until his throat bled, but no one came. Perhaps they did not see him, or perhaps they feared the rocks. Hope flickered and faded as months passed and then years, his body changing, his hair growing long and wild, his skin hardening beneath the sun until civilization became a distant memory. After 3 years alone, Serrano slept beside his fire one night, unaware that fate was moving again. A ship nearby shattered against the rocks during a storm, leaving one survivor who dragged himself through the dark sea, guided by the faint glow of dawn, until he reached the island. As morning broke, the sailor saw smoke rising and shouted, believing his crewmates had survived, but instead from the dunes emerged Serrano, naked, wild-eyed, covered in tangled hair, more beast than man. Terror struck them both as Serrano believed he was hallucinating and the sailor believed he had found a demon. Serrano fled screaming for Jesus to save him, and the sailor, hearing the holy name, realized this creature was human and shouted back, calling him brother. Eventually truth broke through fear as Serrano stopped, turned, and embraced the man, sobbing uncontrollably, two souls broken by the sea no longer alone. They shared stories by the fire, laughter and tears mixing freely, surviving together as they guarded the flame, gathered food, and waited, but isolation leaves scars. Tension grew, accusations followed, anger divided them, and they split the island in half, living in silence for months until loneliness won again. Apologies were made, they reunited, and survived for more years side by side. Then one day smoke was seen and a boat approached, the sailors hesitating at the sight of two wild figures dancing on the shore until Serrano shouted the name of Jesus and faith bridged fear, bringing rescue at last. The journey home was cruelly incomplete as Serrano's companion died before reaching Europe, leaving Serrano alone to return to Spain where his story turned him into legend. He lived in comfort, advised sailors, funded expeditions, and ensured others would survive.